A 16-year-old girl collapsed face first onto concrete outside a Hells Angels clubhouse. Jake Brennan ran to her. He turned her over and saw fingerprints bruised into her throat. Someone had tried to strangle this child. He carried her inside, waited 3 hours for her to wake up, and asked one question. Who hurt you? The name she whispered made 12 bikers reach for their phones. Marcus Webb, the predator who had been hunting homeless kids for years. But Jake didn't know the worst part yet. Webb had killed his daughter too. Subscribe now and follow this story to the end. Comment your city below so I can see how far this story travels. Her legs buckled at 2:47 in the afternoon. Jake Brennan dropped his wrench and ran. The girl hit concrete face first. No hands out, no attempt to catch herself, just down. Like a puppet with cut strings, Jake reached her in 4 seconds. He rolled her over and his gut clenched. Bruises, purple rings around both wrists. A black eye fading to yellow. Split lip crusted with dried blood. And on her throat, fingerprints. 5 dark ovals pressed into her skin. Someone had wrapped their hands around this child's neck and squeezed. Jake checked her pulse. Weak, thready, but there. Ghost, he didn't take his eyes off her. Get out here now. Tommy Reynolds came running, 24, club prospect, eager to prove himself. He skidded to a stop when he saw the girl. Jesus Christ. Water, blanket, call Doc Martinez. Move. Ghost ran. Jake stayed. He kept 2 fingers on her pulse and counted her breaths. Shallow, uneven. She weighed nothing. 90 pounds, maybe less. Like she'd been starving for months and nobody noticed. Jake noticed. He noticed because 3 years ago his daughter Emma looked exactly like this. Thin, broken, dying by inches while the world walked past. September 15, 2021. Jake got a phone call that ripped his life in half. Emma was dead. Overdose. Motel room on the edge of town. She'd been on the streets 8 months. Jake didn't know, didn't see the signs, wasn't there. He never got to ask Emma who hurt her. He was asking now. Ghost came back with supplies. Jake wrapped the girl in a blanket, lifted her like she was made of glass, and carried her inside. Big Mike stood near the bar, president of the Hells Angels Bakersfield chapter, 55 years old, built like a concrete wall, eyes that had seen everything and forgotten nothing. Who is she? Don't know, found her in the lot. How bad? Someone tried to choke her to death recently. Big Mike's jaw tightened. Put her in the back room. I'll clear it out. Doc Martinez arrived in 19 minutes. She wasn't a real doctor, veterinarian, but she'd been stitching up the club for 20 years and knew trauma better than most surgeons. She'd examined the girl while Jake watched from the doorway, arms crossed, jaw locked, waiting. Dehydration, Doc said, not looking up. Malnutrition, infected cuts on both arms, bruising in multiple stages, some fresh, some weeks old. She paused. Someone's been beating this child regularly. Her body finally quit. Can you fix her? I can stabilize her, IV fluids, antibiotics, but Jake, she met his eyes. Whoever did this isn't going to stop. I know. This girl needs a hospital. She's terrified of hospitals, said they'll put her back in the system. Foster care. That's all she said before she passed out. Doc was quiet for a moment. Then she turned back to her work. I'll do what I can. 3 hours. Jake sat in a chair across the room and watched her breathe. He didn't move, didn't eat, didn't check his phone, just watched. Ghost came in twice to ask if he needed anything. Jake shook his head both times. Big Mike checked in once. Same answer. At 6:23 p.m., her eyes opened. Blue-green, clouded with confusion, then sharp with fear. She tried to bolt upright. Her body refused. She got halfway up and collapsed back, gasping. Easy. Jake stayed in his chair, hands visible, voice low. You're safe. Nobody's going to hurt you here. She stared at him, taking in the leather vest, the patches, the scars on his knuckles. Everything about him screamed danger. Where am I? Hells Angels clubhouse. Her face went white. Why? Because you passed out in our parking lot and I wasn't going to leave you there. What do you want? Nothing. Everybody wants something. Not me, not today. She didn't believe him. He could see it. She was calculating, measuring distances to the door, looking for weapons. This girl had learned the hard way that kindness always costs something. I'm Jake. What's your name? Silence. Her eyes kept moving. Door, window, Jake. Door again. You can lie to me if you want, Jake said. Give me a fake name. I don't care. I just need something to call you. More silence. Then barely audible, Lily. Lily, you hungry? Her stomach answered before she could, a loud, painful growl that seemed to embarrass her. I'll take that as a yes. Jake stood slowly, moved toward the door with exaggerated calm. Ghost. The prospect appeared instantly. Yeah. Food, soup, bread, juice, whatever's hot. On it. Jake turned back to Lily. She'd pulled the blanket up to her chin, making herself smaller, trying to disappear. The food's not a trick, he said. It's not a trade. You eat, you get stronger, you leave when you're put ready. That's it. That's not how it works. That's how it works here. Ghost came back with a tray. Chicken soup still steaming, fresh bread, orange juice, a bottle of water. He set it on the table beside her and stepped back fast, giving her space. Smart kid. Lily stared at the food like it might bite her. It's just soup, Ghost said quietly. I know it's hard to believe, but we're not the bad guys. Everyone says that. Yeah, but we mean it. She hesitated another 5 seconds. Then hunger won. She grabbed the bread and tore into it, barely chewed, swallowed too fast, started choking, coughed hard, grabbed the juice to wash it down, then attacked the soup, drinking straight from the bowl, both hands wrapped around it like someone might snatch it away. Jake didn't say a word. Neither did Ghost. They just let her eat. When the bowl was empty, Lily looked up. Something had shifted in her eyes. Not trust, but maybe the memory of what trust felt like. Why are you doing this? Jake sat back down, took his time answering. I had a daughter, Emma, about your age when things went wrong. She got mixed up with bad people, ended up on the streets. He paused. I didn't know. She didn't tell me. By the time I found out, she was dead. Lily's hands tightened on the empty bowl. I'm sorry. Don't be. It's not your fault. It's mine. Jake leaned forward. I couldn't save her. But maybe I can help you. Not because I want something, because it's what someone should have done for Emma 3 years ago. Silence stretched between them. Then Lily set down the bowl. What do you want to know? One thing, that's all. And you don't have to answer if you can't. She nodded slowly. Those marks on your neck, the bruises on your arms, someone did that to you. Jake's voice stayed low, steady. Who hurt you, Lily? Her face crumpled. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Her whole body started shaking. She wrapped her arms around herself and rocked back and forth. I can't. He'll find out. He always finds out. He won't find out from me. You don't understand. Her voice cracked. He has people everywhere. In the shelters, in the police, in the foster system. He knows everything. He sees everything. If I say his name, Lily, Jake didn't move, didn't reach for her, just held her gaze. Look at me. She did, tears streaming. You see this patch? He touched the Hells Angels insignia on his vest. You know what it means. She nodded. It means I have 12 brothers in that room who would burn this city to the ground before they let someone hurt a kid. We're not the police. We're not the system. We don't follow their rules. He paused. Tell me who did this, and I will make sure he never touches you again. Not a promise, a fact. Lily's breath came in short, hitching gasps. She was breaking. He could see it, years of fear cracking under the weight of his words. He'll kill me. He'll try. He'll fail. You can't protect me. Nobody can. Watch me. Something shifted in her eyes, desperation, exhaustion, and underneath it all, a tiny spark of hope she'd thought was dead. She closed her eyes. Marcus Webb. The name hit Jake like a bullet to the chest. He didn't move, didn't blink, didn't breathe. Say that again. Marcus Webb. Lily's voice dropped to a whisper. He runs the streets where I was staying. Says he's protecting us. He's not. He takes everything, money, food stamps, whatever we have, and if you can't pay, she touched her throat. He does this, his guys. They call themselves the shepherds. She laughed bitterly, like they're taking care of us. They patrol the camps, find new kids, offer them food, shelter, safety. Sounds good at first. Then you find out there's no way out. You owe them for everything. The debt keeps growing. You can never pay it off. How long were you with him? 4 months, maybe 5. I stopped counting. And the marks on your neck, Lily's hand went to her throat again, touching the bruises like they still burned. I tried to run 3 weeks ago, made it 2 blocks. Her voice went flat. Dead. They brought me back. Webb was waiting. He wanted everyone to see what happens when you try to leave. He strangled you in front of the other kids. Almost killed me. Stopped right before I blacked out. Said next time he wouldn't stop. Jake's vision went red. His hands curled into fists so tight his knuckles cracked. Marcus Webb. He knew that name. Everyone in Bakersfield knew that name. 52 years old. Former corrections officer at Kern County Juvenile Detention. Fired 6 years ago for inappropriate conduct with minors. Charges didn't stick. They never did for men like him. Now he ran a network. Took in homeless kids, runaways, foster care escapees, the ones nobody was looking for. Fed them, housed them, owned them, made them steal, made them beg, made them sell whatever they had to sell. Took everything they earned. And the ones who tried to run, nobody saw them again. How many kids does he have? I don't know. 15, 20, keeps them at a warehouse on East California Avenue. The ones who owe too much to ever leave. Anyone ever get out? Lily shook her head. I'm the first, at least the first I know about. Jake stood up. His legs felt wooden. His chest felt hollow. Ghost. The prospect stepped forward. Yeah. Stay with her. Nobody in or out except Doc. You understand, where are you going? To talk to Big Mike. Jake walked to the door, stopped. Lily, she looked up. You did the right thing. Telling me. I know it doesn't feel like it, but you did. He left before she could answer. Big Mike was waiting in the main room. 2 beers on the table, one for him, one for Jake. Jake didn't touch his. Marcus Webb, he said. Big Mike's face hardened. I figured. Soon as I heard the girl was running from someone, I knew it had to be him. She says he's got 15, 20 kids locked up in a warehouse. Beats them. Takes everything they have. Strangles them if they try to run. Sounds like Webb. Why is he still breathing? Big Mike took a long drink, set down the bottle. Because he's smart. Doesn't do anything himself. Got that crew, the shepherds, doing all the dirty work. He stays clean. Untouchable. Nobody's untouchable. He's got cops on his payroll, judges, social workers. Half the system's been compromised. Then we go around the system. Big Mike studied Jake's face. Saw something there he recognized. This isn't just about the girl, is it? Jake's jaw tightened. Emma was on those streets 8 months before she died. Same streets Webb controls. You think he had her? I think it's possible. And if you're right, then I'm going to aim to kill him. The words hung in the air. No heat, no drama, just fact. Big Mike was quiet for a long time. Then he nodded slowly. Church, 8 o'clock. We put it to a vote. And if the vote goes against, then you do what you need to do and the club stays out of it. Big Mike met his eyes. But I don't think the vote's going to go against. Church was packed. 12 men around the table. Leather vests, hard faces, men who had seen violence and dealt violence and knew the difference between necessary and excessive. Jake stood at the head of the table. Most of you know why we're here. For those who don't, I'll make it quick. He told them everything. Lily, Webb, the warehouse, the kids. When he finished, the room was silent. Razor spoke first. Club enforcer, 48, former Marine, hands like sledgehammers. Webb's been operating for years. Cops won't touch him. Feds don't care. Why do we think we can take him down? Because we're not cops. We're not feds. We don't have to play by their rules. What are you proposing? We build a case, evidence, names, locations, everything we need to bury him. Then we hand it to someone who can use it, FBI, state police, someone Webb hasn't bought. And if we can't build a case, Jake's eyes went cold, then we handle it ourselves. Murmurs around the table. Big Mike raised his hand. Silence. Anyone else? Ghost stepped forward. He wasn't supposed to speak. Prospects didn't have a voice at church, but the words came out anyway. I was on the streets at 16. I know what it's like. Hungry, scared, invisible. Nobody helped me until I found you guys. His voice shook. These kids don't have anyone. Webb treats them like property. If we don't stop him, who will? Nobody answered. Big Mike looked around the table. All in favor, 12 hands went up. Every single one. Then it's settled. We find Webb. We find out what he's doing to those kids. And we end it. Jake went back to Lily's room at 9:47 p.m. She was still awake, sitting up in bed, staring at the wall. How are you feeling? Scared. She looked at him. What happens now? Now we go after Webb. You're crazy. He'll destroy you. He'll try. I've seen what he does to people who fight back. You don't want that. Jake pulled up a chair, sat down. Let me tell you something about the men in this club. Every single one of them has scars. Some you can see, some you can't. They've been beaten, shot, stabbed, left for dead. They've lost brothers, lost family, lost everything. He paused. And they're still here. Still standing, still fighting. Webb thinks he's dangerous because he hurts kids who can't fight back. He's about to find out what happens when he goes up against people who can. Lily was quiet for a moment. Why do you care so much? I'm nobody. Just another homeless kid. You're not nobody, and I care because... Jake stopped, swallowed hard. I need to ask you something. It might be hard to hear, but I need to know. What? 3 years ago, there was a girl on these streets, brown hair, about your age. Her name was Emma Brennan. Jake's voice caught. Did you ever hear that name? Lily thought for a moment. Her brow furrowed. There was a story, one of the older kids told me, about a girl named Emma. Jake stopped breathing. What story? She was one of Webb's, before my time, but she tried to get out, tried to tell someone what was happening. Lily's voice dropped. They said Webb made an example of her. What does that mean? I don't know exactly. The story just said she disappeared. Webb took care of it. That's what happens when you talk. The room spun. Jake gripped the armrest of his chair so hard the wood cracked. Webb killed her. I don't know for sure. That's just what people said. For 3 years, Jake blamed himself. 3 years of thinking he should have seen the signs. Should have been there. Should have saved her. But Emma didn't overdose. Emma was murdered. Webb killed his daughter. Jake stood up. His legs felt like they belonged to someone else. His chest was caving in, but he couldn't let it. Not yet. Jake, Lily's voice came from far away. Are you okay? No, he would never be okay again. Get some rest, he heard himself say. Tomorrow we start. He walked out. Gemma. Ghost was in the hallway. Jake, what happened? You look, Emma. Jake's voice was hollow, dead. Webb killed her. She didn't overdose. He killed her because she tried to get out. Ghost's face went white. What? How do you? Lily heard the stories. Emma was one of his. She tried to run. He made an example of her. Jake, I'm so sorry. Don't. Jake's hands were shaking, his whole body vibrating with something that went beyond rage. Don't be sorry. Be ready. Because when I find Marcus Webb, I'm going to make him tell me exactly what he did to my daughter. And then, man, I'm going to make him pay for every second of it. Ghost straightened. His eyes hardened. I'm with you, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. Jake walked past him, out the back door, into the night. The stars were out. Emma used to love the stars. She had glow-in-the-dark constellations on her ceiling when she was 8. Jake put them up himself. Spent a whole afternoon arranging them just right while she directed him from her bed. A little to the left, Daddy. Now up, now down. Perfect. She was so happy that night, falling asleep under her own personal sky. The constellations were probably still there. Jake hadn't been back to her room since she died. Couldn't bring himself to pack up her things, couldn't face the weight of her absence in that small space. Now he knew why she died. Now he had a name. Marcus Webb was out there somewhere, sleeping soundly, counting his money, thinking nobody would ever hold him accountable. He was wrong. Jake pulled out his phone, dialed a number he hadn't called in 2 years. 3 rings. Then a voice he used to know better than his own. "Jake, it's almost midnight. What's wrong?" "Sarah, I need your help." Silence on the other end. "Then what kind of help?" "The kind you've been building a file for. Marcus Webb." Another pause. Longer this time. "How do you know about that?" "Doesn't matter. What matters is I have a witness, a girl who was inside his operation. She got out. She's willing to talk." "Jake, this is dangerous. Webb has people." "I know who he has. I know what he does. And Sarah," Jake's voice broke for the first time. "He killed Emma." Silence. Then a sharp intake of breath. "What did you say?" "Webb had Emma. She tried to get out. He killed her, made it look like an overdose." "Oh my God, Jake. I need everything you have on him, every piece of paper, every name, every connection. Can you do that?" Sarah was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice had changed, harder, more determined. "I'll bring what I have. Tomorrow, same coffee shop as last time." "Thank you." "Jake." "Yeah. Don't do anything stupid before I get there." "I'll try." He hung up. The stars blurred above him. For the first time in 3 years, Jake let himself feel it. The grief, the rage, the bottomless ache of losing his only child. He'd spent 3 years drowning in guilt. 3 years thinking he'd failed her. But Emma didn't fail. Emma fought. She tried to escape. She tried to tell someone, and Webb killed her for it. Jake wiped his eyes, drew a breath, steadied himself. Tomorrow the hunt would begin. Marcus Webb thought he was untouchable, thought he was safe, thought nobody would ever come for him. He was about to learn different. Jake Brennan is coming. And he wasn't going to stop until Webb was buried so deep he'd never hurt another kid again. Emma deserved that. Lily deserved that. Every kid Webb had ever touched deserved that. Jake looked up at the stars one last time. "I'm going to finish what you started, baby girl. I promise." Then he walked back inside to prepare for war. Jake kicked the door off its hinges. The metal frame screamed, wood splintered, the door crashed inward, and Jake was through before it hit the ground. Big Mike came in right behind him, flashlight cutting through darkness, gun up, eyes scanning. Clear left. Clear right. The first floor was empty. Old machinery, rusted shelves, the smell of mold and something underneath it. Something human. Sweat, fear, decay. Ghost's voice crackled through the radio. "Back entrance, secure, no movement." "Hold position," Jake said. "We're going up." The stairwell was narrow. Concrete, no light. Jake went first. Big Mike covered. Each step felt like walking into a grave. At the top, a door, closed, light bleeding underneath. Jake held up 3 fingers. 2, 1. He hit the door with his shoulder. It flew open and Jake stopped cold. Mattresses, 20 of them, spread across the floor like a refugee camp, some empty, some occupied. Kids of all ages, 12. 14, 16, some awake staring with hollow eyes, some sleeping, some not moving at all. "Jesus Christ," Big Mike whispered. A man came running from a back room, hand reaching for his waistband. Jake was faster. He crossed the distance in 3 steps, grabbed the man's wrist, twisted hard. The gun clattered to the floor. Jake drove his elbow into the man's face, bone crunched. The man went down. "Stay down." Jake's boot on his chest. "Move again and I break your neck." The kids were awake now, all of them, staring, terrified, some crying, some just frozen too broken to react. "It's okay," Jake kept his voice calm, steady. "We're here to help. Nobody's going to hurt you, not anymore." A girl in the corner started screaming, high-pitched, hysterical. She couldn't stop. Ghost came running up the stairs. "What's happening?" "Get her calm. Don't touch her. Just talk." Ghost moved toward the girl slowly, hands up, voice soft. Hey, hey, it's okay. Look at me. Look at me. You are safe now. I promise you're safe. The screaming slowly died to sobs. Jake scanned the room, counted heads. 17 kids. 17 children held prisoner in this hellhole, but no Webb. Where is he? Jake grabbed the man on the floor by his collar, yanked him up. Where's Webb? Blood poured from the man's broken nose. I don't know what you're talking about. Jake slammed him against the wall. Marcus Webb, where is he? I don't. Jake hit him again. Harder. I'll ask one more time. Where is Marcus Webb? The man's eyes darted to a door at the back of the room. Just for a second, but Jake caught it. He dropped the man and moved. The door led to an office. Computers, filing cabinets, security monitors showing every angle of the warehouse. Stacks of cash on the desk. Thousands of dollars. And in the corner a window. Open. Night air pouring in. Jake looked out. Fire escape. Empty. He ran. Big Mike's voice behind him. Must have seen us coming on the cameras. Jake's fist slammed into the wall. Drywall cracked. We had him. We had him right here. Jake. Big Mike's voice was strange. Tight. Look at this. Jake turned. Big Mike was standing by a filing cabinet. Drawer open. He was holding a folder. His face was gray. What? Big Mike didn't answer, just held out the folder. Jake took it, opened it. His daughter's face stared back at him. Emma Brennan, age 18. Acquired August 2021. Status terminated. Final value $47,000. The folder slipped from Jake's fingers. His knees buckled. He caught himself on the desk. Barely. No, the word came out broken. No, no, no. Big Mike put a hand on his shoulder. Jake, he had her. Jake's voice cracked. He had my daughter, right here, in this building. We didn't know. Nobody knew. Jake picked up the folder again, forced himself to read. Intake date, August 3rd, 2021. Physical assessment, behavioral notes, value projections. They had cataloged his daughter like merchandise, assigned her a price tag, tracked her like inventory, and then terminated her. Jake's hands were shaking so hard he could barely hold the paper. What does terminated mean? Jake, don't. What does it mean? Big Mike was quiet for a long moment. Then there's more files, look. He pulled open another drawer, dozens of folders, each one with a name, a photo, a detailed record. Jake grabbed one at random. A boy named Marcus, age 14, status active. Another one. A girl named Jessica, age 16, status transferred. Another, David, age 13, status terminated, transferred, active. Like cattle, like products, like things instead of children. They've been doing this for years, Big Mike said quietly, buying and selling kids. Right here in Bakersfield, right under everyone's nose. Jake set down the files. His jaw was so tight he thought his teeth might crack. Where would he go, Webb? Where would he run? I don't know. He's got money, connections. Could be anywhere by now. He's not anywhere. He's close. Jake moved to the computers, started clicking through files. He wouldn't abandon all this. Not yet. He'll try to salvage what he can. Jake, we need to focus on these kids. Get them out of here. Get them safe. You do that. I'm going after Webb. Alone, that's suicide. I don't care. Big Mike grabbed his arm, spun him around. I do. Emma's gone, Jake. Nothing you do tonight brings her back. But those kids out there, they're alive. They need us right now. Jake's eyes were burning. His chest felt like it was being crushed. He killed my daughter. I know, and we'll get him. I swear to you we'll get him. But not tonight. Tonight we save the ones we can save. Tomorrow we hunt. For a long moment, Jake didn't move. Couldn't move. The rage and grief were fighting inside him, tearing him apart. Then he heard it. A small voice from the other room. Is it really over? Are we really free? A child's voice, hopeful, terrified, desperate. Jake closed his eyes, drew a breath. Okay. His voice was hoarse. Okay, we get the kids out first, then Webb. Big Mike nodded. That's the right call. They walked back into the main room. Ghost had gotten the kids organized. They were standing in a group holding on to each other, watching Jake with wide eyes. Listen to me. Jake crouched down so he was eye level with them. My name is Jake. These men are my brothers. We're going to take you somewhere safe, somewhere Webb can never find you. But I need you to trust me. Can you do that? Silence. Then a boy stepped forward, 12 years old, thin as a skeleton, bruises on his arms. I'm Danny. I saw what you did to that guy, the one who guarded us. Yeah, he hurt us every day for months. Danny's voice was steady, hard, too hard for a 12-year-old. You broke his nose. I did. Good. Danny looked at the other kids. We can trust them. Let's go. One by one, the children started moving, following Ghost toward the stairs. Following the first people who had ever come to save them, Jake watched them go. 17 kids, 17 lives pulled back from the edge. But his daughter wasn't one of them. Emma had died in this place. Alone, afraid, cataloged and sold and terminated like she was nothing. Jake picked up Emma's file from the floor, folded it carefully, put it in his pocket. I'm going to find him, he said to no one. I'm going to find him and make him tell me everything. And then I'm going to kill him. Big Mike heard him, didn't argue. Some things didn't need arguing. They cleared out the warehouse, loaded the kids into vans, called Sarah, who was already coordinating emergency placements, called the FBI contact, who owed them a favor, called everyone they could trust, which wasn't many. By 3 a.m., the warehouse was empty. Evidence tagged and photographed. Kids on their way to safety. Jake stood in the parking lot watching the last van pull away. Ghost walked up beside him. We did good tonight. 17 kids, that's 17 lives changed. It's not enough. It's a start. Jake didn't answer. He was staring at his phone. At the photo he'd taken of Emma's file. Acquired. August 3rd, 2021. She'd been missing for 3 months at that point. Jake had filed a police report, hired a private investigator, put up flyers all over town, and the whole time she was here, 5 miles from his house, locked in this warehouse, being sold to the highest bidder. His phone rang, Sarah's number. Jake, the kids are secure. FBI is on their way to the warehouse. We need to talk about next steps. What about Webb? No sign of him. His house is empty. Bank account's frozen, but he probably has cash stashed somewhere. He could be across state lines by now. He's not. How do you know? Because he's arrogant. He thinks he's untouchable. He won't run far. He'll try to fix this. Reach out to his contacts. Buy his way out. Jake, if he contacts his people in law enforcement, then we need to find him first. Silence on the line. Then there's something else. In the files we recovered, there's a name, a buyer, someone Webb sold kids to regularly, someone big. Who's him? State Senator Richard Harmon. Jake's blood went cold. A senator. He's been buying kids from Webb for 3 years. The records are all there. Dates, amounts, locations. Emma, was she? I don't know yet. There are hundreds of transactions. It's going to take time to go through them all. Jake closed his eyes. A senator. Webb had been selling children to a state senator. Where's Harmon now? Jake, don't do anything stupid. This has to go through proper channels. If you go after a sitting senator, where is he? Sarah sighed. Honey, he has a ranch outside of Tehachapi. That's where he takes them. The kids, that's where he... She couldn't finish. I need that address. Jake. Sarah, that man might have bought my daughter. He might know what happened to her. I need that address. Silence. Then she gave him the coordinates. Be careful. If you're wrong about this, I'm not wrong. Jake hung up. Ghost was watching him. What's going on? State Senator Richard Harmon. He was buying kids from Webb. He might know where Webb is hiding. A Senator Jesus. I'm going to his ranch tonight. Not alone, you're not. Ghost, you keep trying to do this alone. Stop it. I'm coming with you. And don't argue because I'm not going to listen. Jake looked at the young man, saw the determination in his eyes, the loyalty. Fine, let's go. They took Jake's truck. The ranch was 2 hours east up in the mountains. They drove in silence, watching the sun start to rise over the horizon. Jake's mind kept going back to Emma's file. Final value $47,000. That's what his daughter was worth to these people. $47,000. Less than a nice car. Less than a year's salary. Less than nothing. Jake? Ghost's voice broke the silence. What are you going to do when we find Harmon? Make him talk. And then, depends on what he says. You know this could go sideways fast. A senator's got security, cameras, people who'll come looking if something happens to him. I know. And you don't care. I care about finding out what happened to my daughter. Everything else is secondary. Ghost was quiet for a moment. Then, I never knew my dad. He left when I was 2. My mom did her best, but she was working 3 jobs. I basically raised myself, got into trouble, ended up on the streets at 16. He paused. I used to wonder what it would be like to have a father who actually gave a damn. Who would fight for me? Who would burn down the world if someone hurt me? Jake glanced at him. Those kids we saved tonight, they're going to wonder the same thing. But now they know. Now they've seen it. Someone came for them. Someone cared enough to kick down a door and say, this ends now. Ghost met Jake's eyes. That's you. That's what you gave them tonight. Whatever happens with Webb, with Harmon, with all of it, you gave those kids something they'll carry forever. Jake didn't know what to say, so he said nothing. They drove on. The ranch appeared just after sunrise. Big property, white fences, horses grazing in the fields, the kind of place that looked beautiful from the outside. Jake knew what happened on the inside. They parked a half-mile down the road, approached on foot, stayed low in the tall grass. The main house was a sprawling 2-story, 3 cars in the driveway, lights on in the kitchen. Security, Ghost asked. Don't see any. Probably figures he's too important to need it. How do you want to play this? Front door, fast and loud. That's your plan. Just walk up and knock. I'm not knocking. Jake moved before Ghost could argue. He crossed the lawn in 30 seconds, up the porch steps, to the front door. He didn't hesitate, didn't think, just kicked. The door exploded inward. A woman screamed somewhere in the house. Jake ignored it. He moved through the foyer, through the living room, toward the kitchen where the light was coming from. Richard Harmon was sitting at the breakfast table, coffee in hand, newspapers spread out in front of him, 60 years old, gray hair, distinguished, the kind of face you'd see on campaign posters. He looked up when Jake came in. His expression shifted from confusion to recognition to fear in about 2 seconds. What the hell? Jake crossed the room and grabbed him by the throat, slammed him against the refrigerator. Coffee went flying. The mug shattered on the floor. Marcus Webb, where is he? I don't know what you're talking about. Jake squeezed harder. Wrong answer. I can't breathe. That's the point. Jake's face was inches from Harmon's. You've been buying children from Webb for 3 years. I have the records, dates, amounts, everything. You're going to prison either way. The only question is whether you get there in one piece. Harmon's face was turning purple. His hands clawed at Jake's grip. Useless. I'll ask once more. Where is Marcus Webb? Jake loosened his grip just enough to let Harmon gasp out an answer. Lake Isabella. He has a cabin, uses it when things get hot. Off-grid. No records. Address. I don't know the exact, there's no address. It's just past the Marina Blue roof. You can't miss it. What do you know about Emma Brennan? Harmon's eyes widened. Who? 18 years old, brown hair. Webb sold her 3 years ago. Jake's voice cracked. Was she brought here? There were so many, I can't remember. Jake slammed him against the refrigerator again. Try harder. Emma! Emma! Harmon was sobbing now, snot and tears running down his face. There was a girl 3 years ago. She fought back. She wouldn't cooperate. Jake's heart stopped. What happened to her? Webb took her back, said he'd handle it. That's the last Handle it how? I don't know. I swear I don't know. He just said she wouldn't be a problem anymore. Jake's vision went red. His hand tightened. Jake. Ghost's voice. Close. Urgent. Jake, stop. You're going to kill him. He deserves it. Maybe, but not like this. Not before he faces justice. Not before everyone knows what he did. Jake's hand was shaking. Every fiber of his being wanted to squeeze, to feel this man's life drain away, to punish him for every child he'd ever touched. But Ghost was right. Death was too easy, too quick. Jake wanted Harmon to suffer, to lose everything, to spend the rest of his miserable life in a cell knowing that everyone knew exactly what he was. He let go. Harmon collapsed to the floor, gasping, clutching his throat. Jake crouched down beside him. Here's what's going to happen. The FBI has your records. By tomorrow, your face will be on every news channel in California. Your career is over. Your family is going to find out exactly who you are. And when you get to prison, and you will get to prison, everyone there will know too. Child abusers don't do well behind bars. You're going to spend every day for the rest of your life looking over your shoulder, wondering if today's the day someone decides to collect on what you've done. Harmon was crying openly now, broken, pathetic. Please, save it. Jake stood. Lake Isabella, blue roof, past the marina. He walked out without looking back. Ghost followed. They were at the truck before either of them spoke. You okay? No. That thing he said about Emma, about her fighting back. I heard. She didn't give up, Jake. Whatever happened to her, she didn't give up. She fought until the end. Jake's eyes burned. His daughter, his baby girl, fighting alone against monsters while he sat at home, useless, not even knowing she was in danger. I know. We're going to find Webb. I know. And when we do, Jake started the truck. His jaw was set. His eyes were hard. When we do, he's going to tell me everything. Every detail of what he did to Emma. And then he's going to pay for it. Not with prison, not with lawyers, with blood. Ghost didn't argue. They drove toward Lake Isabella, toward Webb, toward the end. The cabin appeared through the trees just after noon. Small, isolated. Blue roof, just like Harmon said. A black SUV parked out front. He's here. Ghost's voice was tight. Yeah. Jake pulled the truck off the road. Killed the engine. How do you want to do this? Same as before, fast and loud. He might be armed. Probably. He might have people with him. Then they'll go down too. Ghost checked his gun, chambered around. I'm ready. They approached through the trees, staying low, moving quiet. The cabin had two windows facing them, both curtained. No movement visible inside. Jake reached the front door, tested the handle, locked. He stepped back, drew his weapon, then he heard it. A voice, high-pitched, frightened, a child's voice. Please, please don't. I'll be good, I promise, I'll be good. Jake's blood went cold. He didn't wait, didn't think. He kicked the door in. The cabin was one room, bed against the wall, kitchenette in the corner, and in the center Marcus Webb standing over a boy who couldn't have been more than 10. Webb spun around. His hand went for the gun on his belt. Jake fired first. The bullet caught Webb in the shoulder. He stumbled back, dropped the gun, crashed into the wall. Jake the kid! Ghost ran to the boy, scooped him up, carried him outside. It's okay, you're safe now. Jake walked toward Webb. The man was on the ground, clutching his bleeding shoulder, face twisted in pain and fear. Do you know who I am? Webb looked up. Recognition flickered in his eyes. Brennan, Jake Brennan. You remember my name? Good. Jake crouched down. Do you remember my daughter's name? Webb's face went pale. I don't. Jake grabbed his wounded shoulder and squeezed. Webb screamed. Her name was Emma. She was 18 years old. You took her 3 years ago, sold her to Harmon, and when she fought back, you killed her. I didn't kill her. Then what happened? Webb was crying now, sobbing like a child. She tried to escape, kept trying. Every time we sold her, she'd run, fight, cause problems. The buyers didn't want her anymore. She was too much trouble. So you terminated her. I had to. She was going to talk. She knew too many names, too many faces. If she went to the police, how did you do it? Please, how did you kill my daughter? Webb's whole body was shaking, blood soaking through his shirt. Overdose. We gave her too much, made it look like she did it herself. Nobody asked questions. She was just another homeless junkie who couldn't handle her drugs. Jake stood up slowly. His daughter. His Emma. Murdered, made to look like an addict, thrown away like garbage, and nobody asked questions. Because she was invisible. Because nobody cared about homeless kids. Because the system had failed her completely. I'm sorry. Webb was groveling now. Please. I'm sorry. I'll tell you everything. I'll testify against everyone. Harmon, the cops, everyone. Just don't kill me, please. Jake looked down at him. For 3 years, he'd imagined this moment. What he would do, what he would say, how it would feel. He thought it would feel satisfying, righteous. It didn't. It felt empty. Get up. Webb struggled to his feet, still clutching his shoulder. You're going to live. You're going to testify. You're going to name every single person who ever bought a child from you. And then you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison knowing that I'm out here, watching, waiting. And if you ever try to run, if you ever try to hurt another kid, I will find you. And next time, I won't stop at your shoulder. Webb nodded frantically. Yes, okay, whatever you want. Jake grabbed him by the collar and dragged him outside. Ghost was standing by the truck with the boy in his arms. The child was crying softly, face buried in Ghost's shoulder. Is it over? Ghost asked. Jake looked at Webb, at the blood, at the pathetic shell of a man who had destroyed so many lives. Almost. He threw Webb into the back of the truck. We've got one more stop. The FBI field office was chaos when they arrived. Agents swarming, phones ringing. Sarah coordinating everything from a makeshift command center. She looked up when Jake walked in with Webb. You found him. He's ready to talk. Names, dates, everything. Sarah looked at Webb, at the blood soaking his shirt, at the terror in his eyes. What happened to his shoulder? He resisted. She didn't push it. We'll take him from here. The kids from the warehouse are safe. Harmon's been arrested. We're dismantling the entire network. Jake nodded. Good. Jake, Sarah stepped closer, lowered her voice. The file we found, Emma's file. I'm so sorry, I had no idea. Neither did I. That's the problem. What are you going to do now? Jake looked out the window, at the sunrise painting the sky orange and gold, at a new day beginning. I'm going to bury my daughter, properly this time, knowing the truth. He paused. And then I'm going to make sure this never happens again, to anyone. How? I don't know yet, but I'll figure it out. Sarah touched his arm. You did good, Jake. Tonight, all of it, Emma would be proud. Jake's eyes burned. He blinked hard. I hope so. He walked out of the field office into the morning light. Ghost was waiting by the truck. The little boy had been handed off to social services. He looked exhausted. They both did. What now? Jake took a breath, let it out slowly. Now we go home, get some sleep, and tomorrow? He looked back at the building where Webb was being processed, where Harmon's empire was crumbling, where justice was finally being served. Tomorrow we figure out what comes next. They got in the truck and drove toward Bakersfield, toward home, toward whatever waited on the other side of this nightmare. 6 months passed. Jake stood in the federal courtroom watching Marcus Webb shuffle toward the defense table. Orange jumpsuit, shackles on his wrists and ankles. The man who had terrorized homeless children for years looked small now. Broken, prison had carved the arrogance out of him. Good. The prosecutor rose. The people called Jake Brennan to the stand. Jake walked forward. Every step felt heavy. 6 months of depositions. 6 months of reliving the worst night of his life. 6 months of seeing Emma's face in his dreams asking why he didn't save her. He sat down, raised his right hand, swore to tell the truth. The prosecutor approached. Mr. Brennan, can you describe for the jury what you found on the night of August 15th at the warehouse on East California Avenue? Jake looked at Webb. The man wouldn't meet his eyes. I found 17 children being held against their will. Some as young as 10 years old. They were malnourished, beaten, terrified. And what else did you find? Jake's jaw tightened. Fools. Detailed records of every child Marcus Webb had trafficked over the past 6 years. Names, photos, prices. He paused. One of those files belonged to my daughter, Emma Brennan. A murmur rippled through the courtroom. Can you tell the jury what that file contained? My daughter's intake date, her physical assessment, her value to Webb's operation. Jake's voice cracked. And a termination date, September 15th, the day she was murdered. The prosecutor turned to the jury. Let the record show that Emma Brennan's death was previously ruled an accidental overdose. New evidence obtained from the defendant's files proves it was in fact a homicide orchestrated by Marcus Webb. Webb's lawyer stood. Objection. The witness is speculating about overruled. The judge's voice was cold. The defendant confessed to these acts in a recorded statement. Sit down, counselor. Jake watched Webb shrink lower in his chair. The confession had taken 3 hours. Jake hadn't been in the room, couldn't be legally, but Ghost had described every minute. How Webb broke down, how he named names, how he described in horrific detail what he'd done to dozens of children over the years, including Emma. Mr. Brennan, the prosecutor continued, what was your daughter like before she disappeared? Jake's throat tightened. He hadn't expected this question, hadn't prepared for it. He stopped, took a breath. She was stubborn. Got that from me. She wanted to save the world. Volunteered at animal shelters. Tutored kids in her neighborhood. She believed in people even when they didn't deserve it. What happened to her? She got mixed up with the wrong crowd. Started using. I tried to help, but she pushed me away. Said she could handle it. One day she just disappeared. I filed police reports, hired investigators, put up flyers all over town. Jake's hands were shaking. For 8 months I searched for her, and the whole time she was 5 miles away, in that warehouse, being sold like property. Did you ever stop searching? No, not until I got the call that she was dead. And what did you do then? Jake looked at Webb again. This time the man was staring back, fear in his eyes. I buried her, mourned her, blamed myself every single day. Jake's voice hardened, and when I found out the truth, when I found out that her death wasn't an accident, I made sure that the people responsible would face justice. The prosecutor nodded. No further questions. The defense attorney rose. Mr. Brennan, isn't it true that you broke into my client's property illegally? I entered a building where children were being held captive. That's not what I asked. Did you have a warrant? No. Did you have permission from law enforcement? No. So you took the law into your own hands. Jake leaned forward. Your client was selling children. The police knew about him for years and did nothing. The system failed those kids. I didn't. You assaulted my client, shot him, threatened to kill him. I stopped him from hurting a 10-year-old boy. Your client murdered my daughter. Jake's voice cut through the courtroom like a blade. He held her prisoner, sold her to pedophiles, and when she tried to escape, he pumped her full of drugs until her heart stopped. If I had killed him that night, I'd have been doing the world a favor. I didn't. I brought him here instead, to face a jury, to answer for what he did. That's more mercy than he ever showed those children. The defense attorney faltered. No further questions. Jake stepped down from the stand. His legs were shaking. His heart was pounding. But he kept his head high. He walked past Webb without looking at him. He didn't need to. The verdict came 4 hours later. Guilty, all counts, human trafficking, sexual exploitation of minors. 3 counts of murder, including Emma. The judge sentenced Webb to life without parole, then added another 40 years for good measure. As they led Webb away, he turned and looked at Jake one last time. His lips moved, forming words Jake couldn't hear. Jake didn't care what they were. It was over. Lily was waiting outside the courthouse. She looked different now. Healthier, stronger. She'd been living with Sarah for the past 6 months. Going to school, seeing a therapist. Slowly learning that not everyone wanted to hurt her. How do you feel? She asked. Jake thought about it. Empty. Yeah, I figured. They walked to his truck in silence. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and gold. I keep thinking I should feel happy, Jake said, or relieved, or something, but I just feel tired. That makes sense. You've been running on anger for 6 months. Now that it's over, there's nothing left to fight. Jake looked at her. When did you get so smart? Therapy. She almost smiled. Sarah makes me go 3 times a week. How is that? Hard, good, both. She shrugged. The therapist says I have PTSD, says it's going to take years to work through everything that happened, but she also says I'm making progress, that I'm stronger than I think. You are. Wow. So are you. They reached the truck. Jake paused, hand on the door. I keep thinking about Emma, what her life could have been, who she could have become. Lily nodded. I think about the kids I left behind, the ones who didn't make it out. Sometimes I feel guilty that I survived and they didn't. That's not your fault. I know, my therapist tells me that too, but knowing something and feeling it are different things. Jake understood that better than anyone. They drove to Sarah's house. She was waiting on the porch, 2 cups of coffee in hand. I saw the verdict on the news, she said, handing Jake a cup. Guilty on all counts, life plus 40 years. Yeah. How are you holding up? I don't know yet. Sarah nodded. She didn't push. After 20 years of marriage and 3 years of divorce, she knew him better than anyone. There's something I need to tell you, she said, both of you. Jake's stomach tightened. What? The foundation. The one we started with the settlement money. We got our nonprofit status approved this morning. We're officially the Ember Foundation. Jake blinked. That fast? I may have called in a few favors and threatened a few bureaucrats. Sarah smiled. We're going to do this, Jake. Build something real, something that helps kids before they fall through the cracks. Lily looked between them. What kind of foundation? Outreach, prevention, intervention. We're going to find homeless kids before the predators do. Give them food, shelter, options. Make sure what happened to you, what happened to Emma, never happens to anyone else. Lily's eyes filled with tears. That's amazing. I want you to be part of it. Both of you. Jake, you've got the connections. The credibility. People listen to you, and Lily, Sarah turned to her. You're a survivor. You know what these kids are going through. You can reach them in ways we can't. I'm still in high school. I know, this isn't about right now. This is about the future. About building something that lasts. Jake looked at his ex-wife. At the woman he'd loved, lost, hurt, and somehow found his way back to in a different form. Emma would have loved this, he said quietly. I know, that's why I named it after her. Ember, for Emma Brennan. Sarah's voice wavered. She didn't get to save the world like she wanted, but maybe we can do it for her. Jake couldn't speak. His throat was too tight. Lily reached over and took his hand, squeezed. Let's do it, she said. Let's save the world. 3 months later, the Ember Foundation opened its first outreach center in downtown Bakersfield. Jake stood in the front room watching volunteers set up tables and stock shelves. Food, clothes, toiletries, everything a homeless kid might need. Ghost was directing traffic, telling people where to put things. He'd officially patched into the club 2 months ago, but he spent more time at the foundation than he did at the clubhouse. This is good, he said, walking over to Jake. This is really good. It's a start. It's more than a start. I talked to some of the kids at the shelter last week. They're already hearing about us, word spreading. That's what I'm afraid of. Afraid. Webb had people everywhere, eyes and ears in every shelter, every camp. What if whoever's left is watching us? What if they see us as a threat? Ghost shook his head. Webb's network is gone. Harmon's in prison. The cops who were on the payroll got fired. There's nobody left. There's always somebody left. Jake didn't know how right he was. The call came at 3 a.m. 2 weeks later. Jake was asleep when his phone rang. He grabbed it without looking at the screen. Yeah, Jake. Sarah's voice, tight with fear. Someone broke into the foundation. He was out of bed before she finished the sentence. What happened? Is anyone hurt? No, the building was empty, but they trashed the place. Destroyed the computers, spray-painted threats on the walls. What kind of threats? Back off or die, that's what they wrote. Jake's blood went cold. Where are you, Alk? At the foundation. Police are here, but they're not taking it seriously, saying it's probably just vandalism. Stay there. I'm on my way. He got dressed in 30 seconds, grabbed his gun, headed for the door. His phone rang again. Different number this time. Unknown. He answered anyway. Mr. Brennan, a man's voice, deep, calm. I see you've received my message. Jake stopped walking. Who is this? Someone who's been watching you. Someone who thinks you've made a very big mistake. Webb's in prison. Harmon's in prison. If you're one of their people, I'm not one of their people. I'm above their people. Webb was useful. Harmon was profitable. But they were sloppy. They got caught because they were careless. I'm not careless. What do you want to? I want you to understand something. The network you think you destroyed, it's just one branch of a very large tree. There are others, many others, and we don't appreciate amateurs interfering with our business. Jake's hand tightened on the phone. If you think threatening me is going to make me stop, I'm not threatening you, Mr. Brennan. I'm informing you. You have two choices. Walk away, focus on your little charity, hand out sandwiches and feel good about yourself, or keep digging, keep asking questions, and learn exactly how far down this rabbit hole goes. And if I keep digging, then you'll disappear, just like your daughter did, just like dozens of others before her. You think Webb was the monster. Webb was nothing, a small fish in a very large pond. The real monsters don't get caught. The real monsters don't leave evidence. The real monsters make people like Marcus Webb look like choir boys. Jake's vision went red. If you're trying to scare me, I'm trying to help you. Believe it or not, you've done enough, Mr. Brennan. You saved some kids, put some bad men in prison. Congratulations. Now walk away, live your life, because if you don't, the voice paused. Well, Emma died thinking she could escape. She was wrong. Don't make the same mistake. The line went dead. Jake stood in his driveway, heart pounding, mind racing. A larger network, more powerful people. Monsters who made Webb look like nothing. And they knew about Emma, knew about the foundation, knew about him. He should have been scared. He wasn't. He was angry. He called Ghost. Yeah, the voice was groggy, sleepy. Wake up, we have a problem. What kind of problem? The kind that just threatened to kill me. Silence, then I'm on my way. Jake drove to the foundation. Sarah was standing outside with two police officers who looked bored. The front window was smashed. The door was hanging off its hinges. They said it's probably just kids, Sarah said, her voice bitter. Random vandalism, nothing to worry about. Jake walked inside. The place was destroyed. Tables overturned, computers smashed, food scattered across the floor. And on the wall in red spray paint, back off or die. Jake took a picture. Then he turned to Sarah. This wasn't random. Someone called me on my way here, said we need to stop what we're doing, said Webb was just one piece of something bigger. Sarah's face went pale. What? There's a larger network, people above Webb, people who don't want us asking questions. Jake, if that's true, it's true, which means we're doing something right. Or it means we're about to get killed. Jake looked at the threat painted on the wall, thought about Emma, about the 17 kids they'd saved, about the hundreds, maybe thousands, who were still out there trapped in a system designed to exploit them. Maybe, he said, but I am not stopping. Jake, Sarah, listen to me. When Emma died, I gave up. I blamed myself. I drank myself half to death and waited to die. Then Lily showed up and everything changed. I found a reason to fight, a reason to live. And now someone's telling me to stop, to walk away, to let them keep hurting children. He shook his head. No, I don't care how powerful they are. I don't care how dangerous this gets. I'm not stopping until every single one of them is dead or in prison. That's not a threat. That's a promise. Sarah stared at him. For a long moment, she didn't speak. Then she nodded. Okay, but we're not doing this alone. We need help, real help, FBI, state police, people who can't be bought. I know. And we need to protect Lily. She's still fragile. If they come after her, they won't. Jake's voice was steel. Because if they touch her, I will burn their entire operation to the ground. And this time I won't stop to ask questions. Ghost arrived 20 minutes later. Danny was with him. The kid had been living at the clubhouse for 6 months now. 14 years old and already harder than most adults. What happened? Ghost asked. Jake told him everything. The break-in, the phone call, the threat. Ghost's face darkened. So Webb was just the tip of the iceberg. Looks like it. What do? We do what we've always, we find them, we expose them, we take them down. Danny stepped forward. I want to help. Jake looked at him. You're 14. I was one of Webb's kids. I know things, I heard things, names, places, stuff that might help. Danny, they took 3 years of my life, took my childhood, my innocence, everything. Danny's eyes were burning. I want to hurt them back. And if I can't do that, I at least want to help you hurt them. Jake saw himself in this kid. The same rage, the same determination, the same desperate need to turn pain into purpose. Okay, he said, but you follow my rules. You don't do anything without telling me first. And if I say it's too dangerous, you back off. Understood. Danny nodded. Understood. Big Mike arrived an hour later. He'd heard about the break-in through the grapevine. This is bigger than we thought, Jake told him. There's a network above Webb. Powerful people. They're not going to let us walk away. Big Mike was quiet for a long moment. Then he looked at Jake. You remember what I told you when this started about going up against connected people? You said it could blow back on the club. I did, and I stand by that. Big Mike paused. But I also told you that we protect our own. Lily's family now, Danny too. And you, he put a hand on Jake's shoulder. You've been my brother for 20 years. If someone's threatening you, they're threatening all of us. This could get dangerous, more dangerous than Webb. I know. People could get hurt, killed. I know that too. Big Mike's eyes were hard, but sometimes the right thing to do is also the hardest thing. These people prey on children. They destroy lives, and they think they're untouchable. He looked around the destroyed foundation, at the threat painted on the wall, at the shattered remains of everything they'd built. Let's show them how wrong they are. Jake nodded. Let's. The next morning, Jake called every contact he had, FBI agents, state police, journalists who'd covered Webb's trial, anyone who might be willing to dig deeper. Most of them said no. Too dangerous, too powerful, too connected. But a few said yes. Agent Maria Reyes, FBI. She'd been tracking human trafficking networks for 15 years. She believed Jake when he said there was something bigger. Detective John Carter, California State Police. His own daughter had almost been taken by traffickers when she was 12. He had a personal stake. Lisa Wong, investigative journalist. She'd won a Pulitzer for exposing corruption in the foster care system. She wasn't afraid of powerful people. Together, they started building a case. It would take months, maybe years. But Jake didn't care. He had time, he had resources, he had a team, and he had a promise to keep. For Emma, for Lily, for Danny, for every child who had ever been bought and sold like property. The monsters thought they were safe. They were wrong. Jake Brennan was coming for them. And this time he wouldn't stop until every single one of them was destroyed. Lily found him that night sitting on the porch of Sarah's house, staring at the stars. Can't sleep, she asked, sitting beside him. Haven't been able to sleep in 6 months. Me neither. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Are you scared? Lily asked finally. Of what's coming? Jake thought about it. No, I'm scared of failing, scared of letting them win, but not scared of them. Why not? Because they already took everything from me. My daughter, my marriage, my peace. What else can they do? He looked at her. But you have your whole life ahead of you. College, career, family. You should be scared. Lily shook her head. I spent 4 months being scared. Every single day. Scared to eat, scared to sleep, scared to breathe wrong. And you know what I learned? Fear doesn't protect you. It just makes you easier to control. She looked up at the stars. When I collapsed in front of that clubhouse, I was ready to die. I'd given up, and then you came out and picked me up and asked me one question. That question saved my life. It gave me a reason to keep fighting. What question? Who hurt you? Lily smiled softly. Nobody had ever asked me that before. Nobody had ever cared enough to want to know. But you did. And because of that, I'm still here. Jake's eyes burned. Lily, I'm not scared anymore, Jake. I'm angry. And I'm ready. She met his eyes. Whatever comes next, I'm with you, all the way to the end. Jake looked at this girl, this survivor, this fighter. His daughter was gone, nothing would bring her back. But maybe, just maybe, he'd been given another chance. A chance to do it right this time. A chance to protect someone who needed protecting. A chance to be the father he should have been all along. He put his arm around Lily's shoulders. She leaned into him. All the way to the end, he repeated. And together they watched the stars. 5 years later, Lily Brennan, she'd taken Jake's name when the adoption became official, parked her beat-up Honda outside the Ember Foundation's main building. 24 years old now. Bachelor's degree in social work from Cal State Bakersfield. 3 years of field experience. A lifetime of survival behind her. She grabbed her coffee and walked inside. The foundation had grown. What started as one outreach center was now a network spanning 6 cities across California. 200 employees, thousands of volunteers, tens of thousands of kids helped. And today was the 5th anniversary of the warehouse raid, the day everything changed. "Morning, Lily." Marcus, the front desk coordinator, waved as she passed. "Big day." "Every day's a big day around here." "True, but today's special. The governor's coming." Lily stopped. "What? Didn't Jake tell you Governor Martinez is presenting the foundation with an award? Something about exceptional service to at-risk youth." "He definitely didn't tell me." "Sounds like Jake." Lily shook her head and kept walking. 5 years, and Jake still hated attention, hated being called a hero, hated anything that took focus away from the work itself. She found him in his office, buried under paperwork. "Governor Martinez." Jake looked up. "Sarah told you." "Marcus told me, the guy at the front desk, who apparently knew before your own daughter." "It's not a big deal. The governor presenting us with an award isn't a big deal. The work is a big deal. The award is just politics." Lily sat down across from him. "You know, most people would be excited about this." "I'm not most people." "No kidding." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. 5 years had changed them both. Jake's beard was more gray than brown now. The lines around his eyes had deepened. But there was something else too, a steadiness that hadn't been there before. A peace hard-won and fragile, but real. "You ready for tonight?" Jake asked. "The anniversary gathering? Yeah. Ghost is handling logistics. Danny's bringing the kids from the Bakersfield shelter. Sarah's coordinating with the media. And you, Lily smiled. "I'm giving a speech, apparently. Someone decided I should talk about my experience." "Someone being Sarah." "Someone being Sarah." Jake leaned back in his chair. "You don't have to if you don't want to. Nobody's going to force you." "I know, but I want to." Lily paused. 5 years ago, I was dying on a parking lot. You picked me up and asked me who hurt me. That question saved my life. Maybe hearing my story will help someone else." "It will." "You sound sure." "I am." Jake met her eyes. "You've already helped hundreds of kids just by being here, by showing them that survival is possible, that the past doesn't have to define the future." Lily's throat tightened. "I learned that from you." "You learned it from yourself. I just gave you a safe place to figure it out." Before Lily could respond, her phone buzzed. She checked the screen and frowned. "What?" Jake asked. "Text from Ghost. Says there's someone at the downtown shelter asking for me specifically. Won't talk to anyone else." "Who?" "Doesn't say. Just that she's young, scared, covered in bruises." Jake's expression hardened. 5 years and the cases still came. Different faces, same story. Kids broken by a world that should have protected them. "Go," he said. "I'll handle things here." Lily was already standing. "I'll be back before the ceremony." "Lily," she stopped at the door. "Be careful. We still don't know if the network is completely gone." "I know." But they both knew she'd go anyway. That was who she was now, who they'd both become. The downtown shelter was 20 minutes away. Lily drove fast, weaving through traffic, her mind already racing through possibilities. Young, scared, bruises, asking for her specifically. That last part bothered her. Most kids who came through the shelters didn't know her name, didn't know anything about the foundation beyond what they'd heard on the streets. For someone to ask for her specifically meant either they'd done research or someone had told them. Neither option was comforting. Ghost was waiting outside when she pulled up. 29 now. Full patch member of the Hells Angels, but still spending more time at the foundation than the clubhouse. Where is she? Back room, won't come out, won't talk, just keep saying your name. Description: 15, maybe 16, light brown hair, green eyes, skinny as hell. Looks like she hasn't eaten in weeks. Lily's stomach dropped. The description was too familiar. Too close to who she'd been 5 years ago. Anyone with her? No, she came alone, walked in about an hour ago, asked for Lily Brennan, and shut down. Okay, I'm going in. Want backup? No, if she's that scared, more people will make it worse. Lily walked through the shelter, past the main room where volunteers were serving breakfast, past the medical station where a nurse was checking a young boy's blood pressure, past all the ordinary work of saving lives, one meal, one bed, one conversation at a time. The back room was small, quiet. A girl sat in the corner, knees pulled to her chest, face hidden behind a curtain of tangled hair. Lily approached slowly, sat down on the floor a few feet away, not too close, gave her space. Hey, I'm Lily. I heard you were asking for me. The girl didn't move, didn't speak. You don't have to talk if you don't want to. I'll just sit here with you for a while. Keep you company. Silence stretched between them. 1 minute, 2, 3. Then so quiet Lily almost missed it. You were one of them. Webbs. Lily's heart stopped. How do you know that name? The girl looked up. Her face was thin, haunted, but her eyes burned with something fierce. Because they're back. Different name, different people. Same thing. Lily couldn't breathe. What do you mean they're back? The network, the one you and your dad destroyed, it didn't stay dead. The girl's voice cracked. They rebuilt it, bigger, smarter, and they've been taking kids again for the past 2 years. Now that's not possible. We dismantled everything. The FBI caught the ones they knew about. But there were others, hidden, waiting, and now they're running the same operation Webb ran, except this time they learned from his mistakes. Lily's mind was racing. 2 years. If this girl was telling the truth, they'd been operating for 2 years without anyone noticing. Who are they? I don't know all the names, but I know the main one, the one in charge. Who? The girl swallowed hard. His name is Vincent Cross. He used to work for Webb. Now he runs everything, and he knows about you, about your dad, about everything you've built. Lily felt cold. How do you know all this? Because I was inside for 8 months. I saw everything, heard everything. The girl's eyes filled with tears. And I got out. Barely. But I got out, and I came to find you because you're the only one who can stop them. What's your name? Maya. Maya, I need you to tell me everything. Every detail. Every name. Every location. Can you do that? Maya nodded slowly. That's why I'm here. For the next 2 hours, Maya talked. She described a network that made Webb's operation look amateur. Multiple locations across 3 states. Dozens of employees. Hundreds of children. A system so sophisticated that the victims never knew who was really in charge. Vincent Cross ran it all from the shadows. Former associate of Webb's. He'd escaped the FBI roundup. By sheer luck, he'd been out of the country when the warehouse was raided. By the time he came back, everyone else was in prison. So he started over, built something new, something bigger. And for 2 years, nobody had noticed. Why didn't you go to the police? Lily asked. Cross has people in the police, same as Webb did, maybe more. The FBI, I don't know who to trust. Everyone Webb had, Cross has too, maybe worse. Maya looked at her desperately. You're the only ones who ever actually stopped them. You and your dad. That's why I came to you. Lily pulled out her phone. I need to call Jake. No phones. Cross monitors everything. If he finds out I'm talking to you, Maya, we need help. We can't do this alone. I know, but it has to be in person. No phones, no digital trail, nothing he can trace. Lily thought for a moment, then she stood up. Okay, come with me. We're going to the foundation. I'll gather everyone face to face. We'll figure out what to do. Maya hesitated. What if Cross has people watching the foundation? Then they'll see a scared girl being helped by a social worker, same as every other day. Lily held out her hand. Trust me, I know what it's like to be terrified. to think nobody can help. But I'm telling you, we can help. We've done it before. We'll do it again. Maya stared at her hand for a long moment. Then she took it. They drove to the foundation in silence. Lily's mind was churning. Vincent Cross, a rebuilt network, 2 years of operation. Hundreds of children. How had they missed it? How had anyone missed it? The answer was obvious. They'd been so focused on the work in front of them, the immediate needs, the daily crises, that they hadn't been looking for something bigger. They'd assumed the war was won. It wasn't. It was just beginning again. Jake was waiting when they arrived. One look at Lily's face told him everything he needed to know. What happened? We have a problem, a big one, but we can't talk here. No phones, no devices, nothing digital. Jake's expression darkened. The clubhouse. It's clean. They drove separately, Lily with Maya, Jake with Ghost. Danny met them there along with Big Mike and 3 other club members. The clubhouse hadn't changed much in 5 years. Same worn furniture, same smell of motor oil and leather, same photos on the walls, including a new one, Emma's high school graduation picture framed and hung above the bar. Maya told her story again. Every detail, every name she could remember, every location she'd seen or heard about. When she finished, the room was silent. Big Mike spoke first. Vincent Cross, I remember that name. He was one of Webb's lieutenants. We looked for him after the raid, but he'd vanished. He was in Mexico, Maya said. That's where he went after Webb got arrested. Stayed there for a year, then came back and started rebuilding. And nobody noticed. Danny's voice was tight. He was 19 now, prospecting for the club. But the memories of his time with Webb still haunted him. He learned from Webb's mistakes. No paper trail, no files. Everything's compartmentalized. The people who handle the kids don't know who's in charge. The people who move the money don't know where it comes from. Everyone only knows their piece. Except you, Jake said quietly. You seem to know a lot. Maya flinched. I was different. Cross kept me close. I don't know why. Maybe because I reminded him of someone. Or maybe he just liked having someone to talk to, but he told me things, showed me things I wasn't supposed to see. And then you escaped. 3 weeks ago, I've been running ever since, sleeping in shelters, moving every few days, trying to figure out who to trust. Jake studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded. We believe you. The question is, what do we do about it? Same thing we did before, Ghost said. Find them, expose them, take them down. It's not that simple. Cross has had 2 years to build infrastructure, 2 years to buy people off. We go in like we did with Webb, we'll get killed. Then what? Danny's voice was rising. We just let them keep hurting kids, let them keep selling children like... Nobody said that. Jake's voice was firm. We're going to stop them. But we need to be smart about it. We need a plan. Lily stepped forward. Maya, you said Cross has locations across 3 states. Can you identify them? Some of them, not all. Can you identify the people who work for him? Even just faces, if not names. Some. Then we start there. We map out what we know, fill in the gaps, build a case so solid that not even Cross's connections can make it go away. That could take months. Then it takes months. We've waited 5 years already. We can wait a little longer to do this right. Jake looked at his daughter. Pride flickered in his eyes. Lily's right. We do this smart. We do this careful. And when we're ready, his voice hardened. We don't leave any of them standing. The next 3 months were the most intense of Lily's life. She worked with Maya every day, extracting every piece of information the girl could remember. Names became faces, became locations, became patterns. Slowly, the shape of Cross's network emerged from the shadows. Agent Reyes at the FBI built a task force. Quietly, off the books. No one outside the team knew what they were working on. Detective Carter coordinated with state police across 3 jurisdictions. Lisa Wong, the journalist, held off on publishing anything until they were ready to move. And the foundation kept running. Kept helping kids. Kept saving lives. Because that was the cover. That was the mission. That was the point. They couldn't let Cross know they were coming. The breakthrough came on a Tuesday in March. Maya remembered something, a location she'd overheard Cross mention once, a processing center somewhere in the desert outside Las Vegas. He said it was the hub, Maya explained, where all the kids go before they're distributed. If you hit that, you hit everything. Agent Reyes ran the coordinates. Satellite imagery showed a compound, multiple buildings, vehicle traffic at odd hours. This is it, she said. This is their center of operations. When do we move? Jake asked. We need more evidence. If we raid that place and come up empty, we won't come up empty. Maya says kids are there right now. Every day we wait is another day they suffer. Reyes hesitated. Then she nodded. 72 hours. That's how long is needed to get authorization and assemble a team. Can you give me that? 72 hours, Jake agreed. Not a minute more. The raid happened at dawn on a Friday. FBI, state police, federal marshals. 75 officers in total hitting the compound from 3 directions simultaneously. Jake wasn't there, couldn't be there legally. But he watched from a distance, parked on a ridge overlooking the desert, binoculars pressed to his eyes. Ghost was with him, and Danny, and Lily, who'd insisted on coming despite everyone's objections. They watched the officers move in, watched the doors get breached, watched people running, being tackled, being cuffed, and then emerging from the main building, a line of children. 30, 40, 50, more. Kids of all ages, all backgrounds, all broken in ways that would take years to heal, but alive. We got them, Ghost breathed. We actually got them. Lily's eyes were streaming. She couldn't speak, couldn't do anything but watch as child after child was led to safety. Jake's phone buzzed. Agent Reyes. We have Cross. Found him trying to escape through a back tunnel. He's in custody. The kids. 63 total. Some in bad shape but all alive. Medical teams are on site. Evidence. Enough to put Cross as for 10 lifetimes. He kept records, Jake. Digital, encrypted. But we found them. Names of every buyer, every seller, every transaction for the past 2 years. Jake closed his eyes. It's over. This party is, but you know there'll be others, there always are. I know, but today, right now, we won. That matters. It does. It really does. The trial lasted 4 months. Vincent Cross was convicted on 47 counts of human trafficking, 23 counts of sexual exploitation of minors, and 6 counts of murder. The judge sentenced him to 3 consecutive life terms. As they led him away, Cross turned and looked at Jake. For a long moment, their eyes met. Then Cross smiled. You think this ends anything, he said. I'm one man. There are thousands like me. You can't save them all. You can't stop us all. This war never ends. Jake stood up, walked toward the barrier. Guards moved to stop him, but he wasn't trying to reach Cross. He just wanted to be heard. You're right, Jake said quietly. This war doesn't end. There will always be people like you. Predators, monsters, men who think children are property. He leaned closer. But there will also always be people like me. People who see what you do and say no. People who pick up the broken and put them back together. People who fight even when they can't win because fighting is what matters. Jake's voice hardened. You're going to spend the rest of your life in a cage, Cross. And every single day you're going to know that we're still out here, still working, still saving the kids you tried to destroy. You didn't beat us. You never will. Because we don't stop. We don't give up. We don't surrender. He stepped back. Enjoy prison. Cross's smile faltered. For just a moment, something like fear flickered in his eyes. Then the guards led him away, and he was gone. The anniversary celebration that night was the largest they had ever had. 200 people packed into the foundation's main building. Survivors, volunteers, donors, media. Even Governor Martinez presenting Jake with a commendation he didn't want but accepted graciously. Lily gave her speech, told her story, talked about collapsing in a parking lot and being picked up by a stranger who asked one simple question. Who hurt you? She said, her voice carrying across the silent room. That's what Jake asked me 5 years ago. 3 words, but they changed everything. Because nobody had ever asked me that before. Nobody had ever cared enough to want to know. She paused, looked at Jake sitting in the front row. Today we ask that question every day, at every shelter, every outreach center, every street corner where a lost kid needs help. We ask because it matters, because being seen matters, because sometimes one question is all it takes to save a life. She took a breath. I was 16 when I collapsed in front of that clubhouse. I thought my life was over. I thought I'd die on the streets alone and forgotten like so many others before me. But I didn't, because someone saw me, someone cared, someone refused to walk away. Lily smiled through her tears. Jake Brennan isn't a perfect man. He'll be the first to tell you that. He's stubborn. He's overprotective. He makes terrible coffee and even worse jokes. Laughter rippled through the crowd. But he's also the bravest person I know, the most dedicated, the most loving. He lost his daughter to the same monsters who almost took me. But instead of letting that loss destroy him, he turned it into purpose. Built something that matters. Saved lives that would have been mocked without him. She looked directly at Jake. You asked me once if I was scared of what was coming. I told you I wasn't. That fear doesn't protect you, it just makes you easier to control. That's true, but there's something else that's true too. Her voice strengthened. Love protects you. Family protects you. Having someone who will fight for you no matter what, that protects you. And that's what you gave me, Jake. Not just food and shelter, not just safety. You gave me a family, a purpose, a future. She raised her glass. To Jake Brennan, to Emma whose memory drives everything we do. To the Ember Foundation and everyone who makes it possible. And to every kid out there who's still lost, still scared, still waiting for someone to find them. Her voice rang out strong and clear. We see you, we're coming for you, and we're not going to stop until you're safe. The room erupted in applause. Jake stood, crossed to Lily, wrapped her in a hug so tight she could barely breathe. I love you, he whispered. You know that, right? I know, I love you too, Dad. They held each other for a long moment. Father and daughter, found family, survivors. Then the celebration continued and the work went on. Later that night, after everyone had gone home, Lily found Jake sitting outside looking at the stars. Can't sleep, she asked, sitting beside him. Never could. Me neither. They sat in comfortable silence the same way they had 1,000 times before. Maya's doing better, Lily said finally. Started therapy last week. Sarah found her a foster family, good people. I think she's going to be okay. That's good. 63 kids, Jake, from the raid. 63 kids who are alive because we didn't give up. It's not enough. It's never enough, but it's something, and something matters. Jake nodded slowly. Emma would have been 26 this year. I think about that sometimes. What she'd be doing, who she'd be. She'd be proud of you, of all of this. Maybe. Jake's voice was quiet. Or maybe she'd tell me to stop working so hard and take a vacation. Lily laughed. That does sound like something a daughter would say. Speaking from experience. Always. They smiled at each other. The wounds were still there, would always be there, but they'd healed into scars, and scars could be lived with. What happens now? Lily asked. Same thing that always happens. We keep going, keep fighting, keep saving the ones we can save. Until we can't anymore. Until someone else takes over. Until the war is finally won. Jake looked at her. But that's not going to be today. Or tomorrow, or anytime soon. So we do what we've always done. We show up, we do the work, we ask the question. Who hurt you? Who hurt you? Jake nodded, and then we help them heal. Lily leaned against him, felt his arm wrap around her shoulders, looked up at the stars that Emma had loved. I used to think I was invisible, she said quietly, that nobody saw me. Nobody cared if I lived or died. And now I know better. Now I know that being seen is what saves you. And being the one who sees, that's what gives your life meaning. Jake kissed the top of her head. You're a good person, Lily Brennan. Better than I'll ever be. I learned from the best. You learned from yourself. I just provided the classroom. They sat together watching the stars as the night deepened around them. Tomorrow the work would continue. New kids to find. New lives to save. New battles to fight. But tonight they rested. They remembered. They celebrated how far they'd come. 5 years ago, a homeless girl collapsed in front of a Hells Angels clubhouse. A man knelt beside her, saw the bruises on her throat, and asked one question. That question changed everything. Not just for Lily, not just for Jake, but for thousands of children who would never know how close they came to being lost forever. Sometimes being seen is what saves a life, and sometimes it gives you another one. The Ember Foundation continued its work. Lily became its director at 28. Danny eventually left the club and became a counselor. Ghost met a woman, had 2 kids, still volunteered every weekend. Sarah and Jake never remarried, but they became better friends than they had ever been as husband and wife. And every year on the anniversary of the warehouse raid, they gathered, survivors and helpers, family and friends, to remember what they'd lost, to celebrate what they'd built, to recommit to the fight that never ended, the fight for the invisible ones, the fight for the forgotten, the fight for every child who deserved to be seen, to be loved, to be saved. That was Emma's legacy. That was Jake's purpose. That was Lily's future. And as long as there were children in danger, as long as there were predators in the shadows, as long as there was work to be done, they would be there, asking the question, doing the work, saving lives, one child at a time, because that's what family does. That's what love demands. And that's the only thing that truly matters in this broken, beautiful world. Jake Brennan started with one question and ended with a legacy that would outlive them all. Who hurt you? 3 words, a lifetime of healing, and the unshakable truth that no one has to face the darkness alone. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to our channel and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Comment your city below so we can see how far this message of hope has traveled. You're part of this family now, and family never stops fighting for each other.